happy to address any questions that you might have. Biggest thing these days is the uncertainty and what's going on. I feel like a lot of things are opening up. And I feel like people are getting out there because they're a little weary. Thomas and I were talking about this, that people are a little quarantine weary, but sadly, quarantine doesn't end because you're quarantine weary. So as this continues on, how do we sort of continue to navigate what is happening and the shifts that are happening? How do we make decisions as to what's safe and okay for us and our families? And for me, yoga is a mindfulness practice. So more than a physical practice, way more. Yoga is a mindfulness practice. So if we can stay in that place within us that has the best sense for us, it's a good place to make decisions from. And that's for me what the practice does. So let's find your comfortable seat, whatever that means for you. And it doesn't have to be a cross-legged position. We just want you to be comfortable. And then allow your eyes to close down. And if you want the eyes just open slightly, that's fine too, wherever you're comfortable. And go ahead and connect with your breath. You know, when we finish a yoga practice, it doesn't feel like finishing, to my mind, any other exercise. Like other exercises release endorphins, they make you feel really good, but there's a sense of peace for me after a yoga practice. And a lot of that doesn't come from the physical, it comes from the mindfulness piece. And mindfulness really is just about shifting your awareness to where you want it. So if you can, with your breath now, leave whatever happened today outside of the room that you're practicing in. Even if you're practicing in the room that you like to work in, that's okay. Bring as much of your awareness to your breath for now. So just inhale and recognize that you're inhaling. And exhale and recognize that you're exhaling. You can create that little constriction in the back of your throat that allows the breath to have an aspirant sound. It helps us to pay attention to the breath. And the mind is going to wander, and the attention is going to wander, and that's normal. Just as much as you can, bring the awareness back to your breath. And if you're hearing sounds inside the room or outside the room, that's actually great. That's present moment awareness. So don't get upset or don't try to bring your attention away from that. It's fine. You can let sound be part of your mindfulness practice. And so then we'll just gently, for a moment, check in with the body. So whenever we're in times of stress, indecision, fear, we find contractions in the body. So just maybe check in with your neck and or your shoulders or your low jaw, maybe your low back, hips. Just as you breathe, see if there are any areas of contraction, stiffness, pain. And once you zero in, you pinpoint some area. Inhale and fully fill up your rib cage, front, back, side to side. So it's easiest to expand the rib cage and then send that expansion to wherever it is you found some contraction or tension. Neck, shoulders, low back. So you fill the rib cage with the breath first, and then send your awareness to that place of contraction in the body. And this is what we'll focus on in practice today. And on this last full inhale, expand your rib cage. Feel the fullness that you can create there. And on the exhale, keep your rib cage expanded. You don't have to deflate. You can keep that fullness. And then gently just bring hands together over the heart. Setting the intention to take care of your body in your practice today. Don't push the boundaries too far. And we'll gently bow. Release your hands, open your eyes, and let's come to all fours. So again, if you have a blanket and your knees don't like to be on the floor, you can put a blanket underneath your knees, or you can always double up the mat. So we're just going to be here for a little bit doing cat and cow. I'm going to turn to the side for you so you can see. Take your knees hip width apart and your hands shoulder width apart. And we'll just begin to move the spine gently. So you'll inhale and round your spine like a Halloween cat. Taking your low belly up and in. And exhale, look up, tailbone up. Let the shoulders stay high, but the heart melts and the belly softens. And we'll inhale and round again. Take your low belly up and in, tailbone down. Exhale, look up, tailbone up. Softening between the shoulder blades. Let your belly hang down. Inhale, round. Pause right there and see if you can stretch your lowest vertebrae up toward the sky. Exhale, look up, tailbone up, and this time push your knees isometrically apart to widen your sitting bones. And then continue, but go on the rhythm of your own breath. So let the breath initiate the pose. So you start the breath like a millisecond before you start the action. Inhaling as you round, exhaling as you look up and take your tailbone up. Stay connected with the breath. So that's the mindfulness piece in the practice. If you can stay connected with the breath, then you're not just moving the outer body. We'll do 2 more rounds just like that. The round is a full inhale and a full exhale. You can connect the breaths or you can pause in between, whatever feels best to you. And then one last round. Remember, you're inhaling as you round. And then exhaling, and this time just come to neutral spine. So you're just going to come to a tabletop position. And then we're going to start to stretch the hips a little bit. So now if I shift on my mat, you don't necessarily have to. It's just to give you different views. So hands underneath shoulders, knees underneath hips. You're going to inhale, raise your right knee up. So it's kind of like a donkey kick, but we're going to make some big circles with that knee to start to warm up and open your hips a little bit. This is a really good practice we do before Yoga Nidra. So we want to think about that you're massaging that hip joint, sort of oiling the joints a little bit. Now switch directions. It doesn't matter whether you go backwards or forwards first, just switch directions. On the left side, if you tuck the toes under, it's going to be a little easier to balance. And then come on and bring that knee back down. And then other side. So you're going to bring the knee out to the side first, and you're going to make some big hip circles. And think about really massaging inside the joint. Stay connected with your breath. Keep the index finger knuckles rooting down so you're not pressing into the wrist too much. Switch directions. And then when you're ready, come on down. Now take your knees a little bit wider than hip width apart. Bring your big toes together and begin to shift your hips back. We're just going to come to child's pose. Just want to talk about child's pose for a second. So most times when you see a child's pose, the forehead comes down to the mat. But the way we approach it is if the sitting bones and the heels meet, Great, go ahead and take your forehead down. But if the sitting bones are higher up and they're not meeting the heels, keep your head up. So you're just gonna move back slowly, take your low belly up and in. If the hips and the heels meet, great, you can take your forehead down. But do walk your fingertips forward. Take your hands a little wider than shoulder width apart because we're just starting practice. So we don't want to really completely rest in child's pose. We want it to start to be a little activated. Low belly up and in. Connect with your breath again. Find an opening in your hips. One more breath. Remember that thought about expansion. So expanding your rib cage a lot. Stay expanded as you exhale. Walk the hands back. Bring your knees hip width apart. Shift your hips forward, tuck your toes under. And then inhale, shift your hips all the way back to downward facing dog. So you might need to walk your feet back and lengthen your dog a little bit. Connect with your breath. Knees bent, tailbone up. So this is the same idea as when we were on all fours. You isometrically press your knees apart so the sitting bones widen and the low back softens. Stretch your arms forward and your chest back. Squeeze your biceps up toward the sky. So the biceps squeeze together and then you spin them up toward the sky. So the triceps direct down. Now tuck your chin to let your head hang down. One more big inhale. Exhale, and at the bottom of your exhale, we'll walk to the front of the mat. Uttanasana, standing forward bend. Feet hip width apart, fold. Keep your knees soft here, no need to ever straighten your legs in a forward bend. Draw the shoulder blades onto the back, let your head hang down. Keep your fingertips on the earth. Inhale, look forward, lengthen your spine. So you may need to bend the knees quite a bit to do that, it's totally fine. Exhale and fold. So a lot of times people will bring their hands up to take that half forward bend. That's fine, but you'll get a lot more opening if you keep the fingertips down. So into that forward fold, and then inhale again, look forward, lengthen your spine, stretch your chest forward. So you're thinking about stretching out of the waistline through the center of your chest. Exhale and fold. Let your head hang down, and shake your head yes, shake your head no. Inhale, look forward, lengthen. Good, this time take hands on hips, shoulder blades move onto the back. Inhale, rise up. So you come fully to standing. You can come to the front of your mat or just move it back so you can see. Feet hip width apart, release your hands down. Tadasana, mountain pose. Inhale, stretch the arms. Exhale, hands to heart. All the way down. Inhale, stretch up. Exhale, hands to heart. All the way down. One more. Inhale and stretch up. Bend your knees slightly. Exhale, crescent to your right. With your right hand, gently draw onto the left wrist and pull over. Turn your belly and chest up to the left. Inhale, rise up. Exhale, crescent, other side. Extend long through your fingertips so the arms are straight. And then gently turn up. You can take your left hand and gently grab your right wrist. And you're just turning up to look underneath that right arm. Inhale, rise up. Exhale and fold. Place the weight on the front of your feet as you fold, like in the ball of the foot instead of the heel. Inhale, look forward, lengthen your spine. Exhale and fold. Inhale, left leg back, long lunge. All right, so we're gonna just work on lunge for a little bit. You're gonna take the top of your left thigh and raise it up toward the sky, so you'll lift out of the pose a bit. And then sit deep into your right thigh. Slide your belly and chest to the left a little bit so that you're freeing the rib cage from off of that thigh. Means your legs have to be a little stronger. That's okay with me. Sit deep into that right thigh. As you're ready, inhale, take your right arm up. So I'm up on fingertips in the hand that's down. And then turn your belly and chest up to your right. And then be mindful that your fingertips are in line with your shoulder. You don't want the hand further back than the shoulder, especially for those of you that are a little more flexible. Exhale and touch down. And we'll switch sides. Take your left foot forward, take your right foot back. So this part of sliding your belly and chest to your right really helps to keep you from sort of hitching in that hip flexor. So lift the top of your right thigh up. So it's like you're coming out of that lunge a little bit just to engage your back leg, and then sit deeper into that left thigh. Press your right heel back and extend your left knee forward. Then tap the left hip back a little bit. Inhale, stretch the left arm up. So when you slid your rib cage to the left, it freed it off the leg, and now when you open, your left knee moves out to the left a little bit, and you've got all this open space here. So a lot of this is really just about creating space in the body. Exhale and touch down. Place your hands flat, step back, plank position. Look at your hands. Root the index finger knuckle down. That's where the index finger meets the palm. Claw with your fingertips. Soften in between the shoulder blades. Lift your waistline and lift the backs of your legs. Turn your elbow creases toward one another. Take your knees down. Bend your elbows. Brush your side ribs as you lower down gently. Point your toes straight back. Slide your hands back a few inches. Inhale, gentle cobra. So this first one is a very low cobra. Spread your toes. Draw your hands back and your heart forward. Exhale, lower down. Curl your toes under, push back, down dog. So we'll take a couple of breaths right here in downward facing dog. And in this one, you can either wiggle hips side to side, or you can pedal your legs a little bit. Whatever feels good to start to get the back body open slightly. If you pedal your legs, remember we're not running here. Yogis walk. So you're going to go really slow, bend one knee, stretch the other heel back. And then you can switch sides. So there's no rush in the practice. Tuck your chin, stretch your arms forward, stretch your chest back. And then bend both knees again, tailbone up. When you inhale, send your low ribs up toward the sky. And when you exhale, stretch your chest back toward your thighs. Tuck your chin. Good. Look forward. Walk forward. Uttanasana, standing forward bend. Look down at your feet. Make sure they're hip width apart and they're not turning in or out. You want your feet parallel. Let yourself come into a forward fold. Let the top of your head hang. Inhale, stretch forward. Fingertips stay on the earth. Lengthen your spine. Knees bent, tailbone back. Exhale and fold. Low belly up and in. This time, keep your feet really firmly rooted down into the earth. Inhale, stretch all the way up. So strong legs, extend all the way up. Exhale, hands to heart. And release down. You can stay forward on your mat. Stay at the top of your mat. Hands down, Tadasana, mountain pose. Inhale, stretch them up. So when you stretch your hands up, you can keep your arms straight, but soften your shoulders, as if somebody was pressing down on the tops of your fingertips. Bend your knees a little bit, move your sitting bones back. Exhale, press into your right again. Gently grab onto your left wrist. Turn your belly and chest up to the left. Connect with your breath. Inhale, rise up. Exhale, press into other side. So you'll know if you're overworking, if you start to get overheated or your breath gets short and choppy. You know how that feels. Gently grab onto your right wrist. Turn your belly and chest up. And you can even stay in the practice and even stay in the poses, but if you elongate the breath, soften the outer body, you can work less hard in the same practice. Inhale, rise up. Exhale, and fold. Inhale, look forward, lengthen your spine. Exhale and fold. Spin your heels isometrically away from each other to widen your sitting bones. Let your head hang. Inhale, look forward, lengthen. And again, step that left leg back to a long lunge. So we're going to play with a pose that we call side dog. I don't even really know if it's an actual pose, or some of my friends made it up. Spin your back heel down. So your right knee is forward. Spin your left heel down. You're going to keep a nice bend in your right knee, and then you're going to walk your hands out to your left. Keep your hands outer shoulder width apart. And now you have to oppose that right knee away from your right shoulder. So press your right knee out toward your right pinky toe. You want to keep your shoulders even. We call this side dog. Connect with your breath. Keep the shoulders lifting equally. Stretch the arms forward, stretch the chest back. Engage the left inner thigh as you sit deep into the right thigh. All right, and then walk your hands back into center. So we normally don't do pigeon prep this early in a practice, but since we've just got the hip a little open and we're in a good position for it, let's go for it. So go ahead and take your left knee down to the mat. And you're going to walk your right foot over toward the left hand a little bit, or even a lot, till you come further than center. Now, in many cases, you'll have to pull the foot back. So some people will tell you have that shin parallel to the front of your mat. That's too much. So pull your right foot back. The right knee should be about 45 degrees out from your hip. And then you can begin to settle the hips down. You might begin to walk the left foot back a little bit. Look back at your left leg and walk it in toward the midline. Everybody's at a different level with this pose. And so it's fine. Discomfort is fine. Pain is not good. Joint pain is never good. If your right sitting bone is way high off the mat, if you have a pillow nearby, it's always good to have a pillow or a block. You can put something underneath there. You can roll up a towel or something. So if your right sitting bone is way high off the mat, put something underneath there. This will be more accessible for you. If you can find a place where you can come deeper into the pose, you can come down to forearms. If you need more stretch, you can even rest your head on the backs of your hands. So wherever you are with this pose is totally fine. What I do ask is that you keep your head at the same level as your shoulders. So don't drop your head down below the shoulders. If you want to take the head down, Then take your chest down, take your shoulders down. The head is up. If the shoulders are up, you'll keep the head in line with the shoulders. This is a big stretch on that right hamstring, the outer hip, but also the left hip flexor. Connect with your breath here. If you're straining, put something underneath that right hip or back up out of the pose a little bit. You should maybe be able to find your breath here without being in horrible discomfort. And yes, this is a pose we stay in for a few breaths to invite some opening. Take your low belly up and in, direct your sitting bones down. One-legged king pigeon prep. One more breath. Right, come out, come up onto your hands. We're gonna lift up, come back into that lunge. And scoot your right foot forward. We'll switch. Left foot forward, right foot back. Remember, we're coming into side dog first. So spin your right heel down. Walk your hands out to the right. You're coming off of your mat, right? So that left hand might still be somewhat on your mat, but you're taking the hands off the mat. And then oppose the left knee away from your left shoulder. Extend the arms forward, extend your chest back. Yep, it's a big hip opener, I get it. Charge the inner right thigh strong, sit into your left. Try to keep the shoulders lifted equally, because that right shoulder is going to want to drop down. So see if you can keep the shoulders lifted equally. Push forward on the hands, stretch your chest back. Breathe here. One more round of breath. Deep inhale, full exhale. Walk your hands back to center. Pivot your right heel up. Walk your left foot over toward the right foot. You can pull that leg back. Pull your foot back. Left knee 45 degrees out from your hip. You can start to walk your right knee back a little bit, and you can check. Like, take some time, and you can take a pause there and check. See, what do I need? If you have a pillow nearby or a block nearby, if you need it underneath that left sitting bone, great. If not, you can start to lower down to the mat. Fully expect your two sides to be different, right? Nothing in nature is symmetrical. You're no different than that. If you find the access, you can come down to forearms. If you don't need something underneath your hip, you might need something underneath your forearms. So a blanket is great, a pillow, whatever you have accessible. I'm assuming you're home. Social distancing, like you're supposed to be. No judgment. Take your low belly up and in, direct your sitting bones down and toward the mat. Deepen your breath, so think about that expansion. So any place that you might feel, oh man, this is hard in this area, see if you can just think about expanding the area. So our lives have become really small and really contracted lately. We can't change that on the outside so much, but we can definitely change the inside. And maybe this is the time for that. Again, if you're there for a few seconds like we've been, I know it seems like a few hours, and you can find a deeper position, great. If not, that's fine too. Yoga changes the body very slowly, which is actually the good news. When you're ready, come back up onto your hands. I'll like sneak the back knee forward a little bit to help me come out of the pose a little more gently, and you can step right back to down dog. So we're going to play with a few different variations of dog pose today, apparently. Some of you are getting to spend more time home with your dogs. That's probably pretty exciting for you and the dog. So we're going to do boy dog. You're going to inhale and take your right leg up behind you. You can bend, keep your left knee bent and keep it widening a little bit. It likes to collapse in, don't let it. For now, the toes point down toward the earth and just squeeze the back of your leg up toward the sky. We're not opening the hip quite yet. Then go ahead and bend your right knee, heel toward hip, and stretch your knee up toward the sky. You can stretch your left heel back down toward the floor. Stretch your arms forward and your chest back. Keep your left shoulder as high as the right. Exhale, bring your right knee into your chest, just for a little pause right there. And then step it forward to a lunge. Then go ahead and take both hands up onto that right thigh. I'm going to give you a couple of options here. If your back is always fine, and I really mean always fine, not a lot of people's backs are always fine, spin your left heel down. Otherwise, you can keep your heel up. Then we're going to inhale and stretch the arms up. So this is Virabhadrasana 1, Warrior 1. If your back heel is down, it's full Warrior 1. If your back heel is up, it's just a modified Warrior. Extend your fingertips up. Take your low ribs back. Keep a deep bend in that right knee and make sure it's over the pinky toe, not the big toe. Exhale, touch down, step back, down dog. Inhale, stretch your left leg up behind you. You can bend your right knee, look at your right knee, make sure it's widening. So in the beginning, you just squeeze the back of the leg up, point the toes down toward the earth. And then bend your knee, heel toward hip, and stretch your left knee up toward the sky, and stretch your chest back. Just a little more hip opening. Exhale, take your left knee into your chest, pause. Step your left foot forward in between your hands, lunge. Take both hands up onto your left thigh, take your low belly up and in. Breathe into your low ribs, so there's that expansion there. And then inhale, stretch the arms up. Sit deep into your left thigh, make sure that knee presses over the pinky toe. Take your low ribs back. Beautiful. Exhale, touch down. Step back, plank this time. You can take your knees down first or lower down in one straight line. Come to Chaturanga Dandasana, which is hovering, or not. Inhale, Cobra. Exhale, down dog. And take 3 long, slow, deep breaths there in downward facing dog. Full inhale, expand your low ribs up toward the sky. Exhale, take your chest back toward your thighs. And then on the bottom of the next exhale, let's walk forward again. Uttanasana, standing forward bend. Pause right there in your forward bend. Breathe into your rib cage, full. Exhale and fold, maybe a little deeper. You can grab onto your elbows here. Let your head hang. Deepen your breath. Inhale, look forward, lengthen your spine. Exhale and fold, low belly up and in. Inhale, rise up, reach up, stretch. Exhale, hands to heart. Good. Let's go ahead and shake your legs out a little bit. We're just going to add a little bit of balance here. I'm going to be a little forward so that I'm not on two mats. Sometimes if balance is difficult, you can actually step off of your mat. So a little cushy mat makes it a little more difficult to balance. Go ahead and bend your knees a little bit and press your weight down into your left leg. And as you're ready, you'll take your right foot ankle, shin, or inner thigh to balance in tree pose. So if this is where you balance, that's great. Find your balance point. Because today what we're going to do is, in the spirit of expansion, is widen your right knee out to the right. When you lose balance, you tend to want to pull in. So we're going to widen that right knee out to the right. Hands on hips is the most accessible sort of balance point. Now that left hip sometimes will kick out to the left. So draw that in toward the midline as you widen the right knee out. You can stay there or bring hands to heart. Stay there or extend arms up. Connecting with a point about 3.5 feet in front of you on the floor helps the balance. Squeeze midline. So you press your foot into your leg and your leg into your foot. Exhale and release. Right foot down. So you can even squeeze your feet into the midline. Let the inner edges of your feet touch. That's a reminder that, oh, my balance is inside, not out there somewhere. Press your weight into your right leg, bend your knees slightly. Take your left foot up, ankle, shin, or inner thigh. If you're coming to the inner thigh, just reach down, help that leg out a little bit. Hands on hips. Bend your standing knee a bit, and then widen that left knee out. So think about the knee, if it can, being in line with the hip. Stay there or hands to heart. And again, so you're breathing, expanding your rib cage. Stay there or extend arms up. Now, if you do stretch the arms up, really stretch them up. Make the arms straight. Connect with your breath. That inner vision, 3.5 feet in front of you on the floor. Windy days make it hard to balance. Exhale and release. Woo. Feet hip width apart and shake your legs out a little bit. Root down through your feet. Inhale, rise up. Exhale and fold. So it's like you use the whole breath, the whole length of the breath to fold forward. Inhale, look forward, lengthen your spine, stretch your chest. Exhale and fold. Inhale, rise up. Come all the way up to standing. Exhale, hands to heart. Let's go ahead and take a wide stance. So remembering that this wide stance is outer hip width apart. So you're really gonna take your arms out, measure that the wrists are over the ankles. From the fingertips, pull back into your heart. You wanna keep that width. And then since the arms are out, let's go ahead and take them and clasp them behind you. And shrug your shoulders up, roll the shoulder blades onto the back, point your elbows back behind you. Press the inner edges of your feet down. I think we talked about that last week. Palms together, elbows bent. lift your chest. So even stop right here and think, oh my gosh, this is probably more open and expanded than my pecs, than my chest have been in a long time. Deep inhale, and you can even come into a little bit of an upper body back bend. So stretching the chest up toward the sky, drawing the shoulder blades into the back a little bit more. Don't drop your head back. And keep your head neutral, slide your chin back and the sides of your throat as well. And then we'll exhale and fold forward. Stretching the arms overhead, keeping your legs strong. Fold. Let the top of your head come down. Now tuck your chin, slide your shoulder blades toward your waistline, and then stretch the arms overhead again. Let the top of your head hang down. Bend your knees a little bit and move your sitting bones back. Make that adjustment one more time. Slide the shoulder blades toward your waistline, and then maybe stretch the arms overhead a little bit more. My shoulders are really tight, so this is not easy for me. Go ahead and release your hands. Inhale, look forward, lengthen your spine, stretching your chest forward. Good. So keeping your hands centered now, you're going to turn your right toes out. I'm not going to mirror you on this one because most of you probably aren't facing me right now anyway, so they'll probably be fine. You're going to turn your right toes out, and this time we're going to take the right forearm onto the right thigh. Take your left hand to your left hip and turn your belly and chest up left. So this is side angle pose. The top of the right shoulder might want to pop forward, so you want to draw it back so you can get this big opening across the front of your chest. And then stretch your left arm by your left ear. So you really want to feel that opening in the chest. You can widen the right sitting bone out to the right a little bit, but do press the right knee over the pinky toe as well. This is just, it's not an easy pose. There's a lot of work in the legs. That's okay, it gets the chest really nice and open. And then squeeze your right leg straight for triangle. So you're coming into triangle now with the chest already open. And so the right shoulder might want to pop forward again, draw it back. And the idea that opening in the front body can let you even lean back a little bit. My right hand is up on my shin. I don't have to touch the floor. Connect with your breath. So the legs are strong, squeezing in toward the midline, but the upper body gets to open. You're going to take your left hand down. We're going to come out of the pose just how we got in. Pivot your right toes forward. Pause there for a second in the center. Big inhale, stretching your chest forward, moving your sitting bones back. Turn your left toes out. You can start to walk your hands over to the left, so your left knee bends. Left forearm, left thigh, right hand, right hip. Pause right there. Side angle pose. The left shoulder might want to pop forward, so you want to draw it back. And the minute you draw that back, you can start to feel the chest open. Right hand, right hip. Turn your ribs open toward the right. Sitting deep into that left thigh, press your left knee toward your pinky toe. Remember to press the inner right foot down, and then stretch your right arm by your right ear. So you're looking up underneath that right side. Stay connected with your breath. Believe it or not, coming deeper into that left thigh will release some tension that you might feel, because when you hold that leg sort of halfway straight, it's actually harder. And then I use sort of the strength of my left forearm to press that left leg towards straight. Chest is already open, and I'm just going to turn open and triangle. Remember, you don't want that right hand any further back than your shoulder. It should be in line with the shoulder. The left hand can be on the shin, doesn't have to be on the floor. Don't let that left shoulder pop forward, drop back. Then you can kind of lay back into the pose. The whole front body is opening and expanding. And I'm curling back into that pose. Stay connected with your breath. Strengthen your legs, draw them into the midline. You can look down, you can look up at your thumb, you can take the head back. Lots of options. And then take your right hand down. Pivot your left foot forward. We're going to bring the feet in toward midline. So you can heel toe the feet in toward midline. You can hop in to about hip width apart. And then you can come on down to a squatting position. If squatting doesn't work in your body, then just have a seat. We'll just pause here for a moment. People in other countries do this a lot. Americans don't do it enough. Our hips are tighter than everybody else's. So if you can find this, you might be up on your heels, off your heels, and that's fine. Pressing out with the upper arms, pulling in with the knees, lift your chest. Not too long, come on down, make your way to seated. In a seated position now, pull the flesh off of the sitting bones. Pull the inner edges of your feet apart, so you open that like a brand new book, and lengthen your spine. If the knees are higher than the hips, that's it, that's as far as you go. If the knees are starting to come down a little lower, great, you can exhale, invite a little bit of a forward fold. You're going to feel that in the outer hips. Find your breath again. Inhale, come on up. This time you're going to keep your right leg in and you're going to stretch your left leg out. So you can, if you're forward on the mat, you might want to turn sideways on the long side of your mat so that your heel can be down on the mat. Pull the flesh off of the sitting bones, that's what I'm doing. You can push down and in on the inner thigh, pull up on the outer thigh. My friend Noah says that you're moving the upholstery. You take your hands behind you and lengthen your spine. So what's important here is that the straight leg, the back of your leg is working down toward the mat and the toes up toward the sky. So keep that leg super engaged and we'll find a forward fold. The next thing you want to be really mindful of is that the two sitting bones are equally weighted down into the mat. So if you fold forward and your left sitting bone flies up off the mat, you've got to back it up. So wherever you can get to with that weight equal. Now if the bent knee pops up, you can always put a prop underneath there. So more important to keep the sitting bone of the straight leg down. We're going to stay low and you're going to walk your torso over your straight leg and pause for a moment. So as you do that, you want to come from the lower ribs, so the low right ribs press toward the inner left thigh, and you can fold there. Keep the spine long. Think about chest toward toes instead of nose toward knees. You can't see, but my other hand is just outside of my knee. Like I'm not reaching for my foot or anything. So I'm using that hand sort of as a rudder or a ballast to keep the chest open on that side. It doesn't matter at all how far forward you can fold. Keep the back of your leg pressing down into the mat and your upper body will start to soften, lengthen, and melt. It can be helpful to take your right hand to the outside of your left leg as well. Stay connected with your breath. If your breath gets choppy, you're straining, you've got to back out a little bit. Inhale, come up, we'll flip the twist. So go ahead and take your left shoulder as deep down as you can inside of your knee. So you might just be having the elbow by the knee, forearm on the floor, that's fine. If you can dig yourself deep down, and the secret is engage the back of your leg and get a little deeper into that pose. Forearm could stay on the floor, or you might be able to grab the inner edge of your foot. Right hand, right hip, turn your belly and chest up to the right. We've done that a couple of times. Squeeze the back of your leg down. Inhale, stretch that right arm up. It might come over and grab the outer edge of your foot. If it can't, you just take your hand behind your head. Connect with your breath. It's a fairly deep twist, but you're only going to go as deep into the twist as is available for you. Again, don't push the boundaries of these too much. Inhale, come on up. Switch sides. Your left leg comes in, your right leg stretches up. So there's so many ways that you can make this adjustment. So one of the ways is I'll fold forward, move my sitting bones back, and it's sort of automatic. I can do it manually. However you can get the flesh off the sitting bones is fine. Hands behind you, lengthen your spine. Press the back of your right leg down into the mat. We'll exhale and fold forward. So again, you've got to make sure that right sitting bone roots down in. The forward fold lightens it. Just come back up out of the fold until you can feel the weight of that sitting bone down. We'll walk the torso over to the right. Pause for a moment. Just so you can begin to slide the rib cage over to the right. Lengthening your spine and then fold. Remember to engage the back of the right leg down into the mat. Stretch the toes up toward the sky. Connecting with your breath. And without changing anything in the leg, we'll just flip the twist. You get the right either elbow in toward the inner knee, or if you can dig deep down, the shoulder can come toward the inner knee, hand on the floor, or grab the inner edge of your foot, left hand, left hip, twist open to the left to begin. Stretch that left arm open. You can reach for your foot. If you don't get it, hand behind the head. If you do get the outer edge of your foot, pull your elbows apart to twist a little more up toward your left. Reestablish the back of your leg down into the mat. You'll find more opening in the upper body. Press your leg in. Inhale, rise up. Stretch your legs out. Come to lying on your back. And just when you first get onto your back, just hug your knees into your chest. You can take your knees wide. If any of you have been in the dive world at all, take your knees wide. This would be a cowboy tuck. Now, even though you're taking your knees into your chest, take your tailbone down toward the mat. Let your low back lift off the mat a little bit. And then take your low ribs down. So it's just like these little minute adjustments that you make. A, help for the spine to be safe. And B, they help this idea of keeping your awareness and your mind in your practice and in your body. And then with an exhale, go ahead and stretch your legs out and prepare for Shavasana, final resting pose. So for some people, it's the hardest part of the practice, just to be able to find a place where you can rest and be in stillness for a few minutes. You can focus on the sound of your breath. You can focus on the music. You can focus on how the floor feels beneath you. Whatever you can do to keep as much of your awareness into this moment of full relaxation. Know that you've done everything that you've needed to do, and there's nothing to do right now but rest. Deep inhale, bringing your awareness back to the body. With every inhale, bringing life back to the limbs, wiggling fingers, toes. You can circle your joints if you like, wrists and ankles. Then at some point, you can begin to stretch bigger muscle groups. So do come out of this really slowly. Let yourself have this last moment if you can. If you want to stay in Shavasana and that's available for you, by all means. If you're coming out, you can roll to your right side, stay there for a breath or two. Then use your hands to gently press up to seated. Eyes closed, hands together over the heart in Anjali Mudra. So Anjali Mudra is an offering pose. When you come to practice, you make an offering to yourself, to me, and to everybody that you come in contact with. So I thank you so much for sharing this time and this practice with me. I know it's hard out there. We can hold it together if we stay together. Thank you. Namaste. Thanks you guys so much. for practicing with me. We'll see you in a week. Please send any questions or concerns or anything you want to focus on. Hannah, Gus was staring at me.
I'm sorry.
It was great. I looked up and I had a full Gus face. You're welcome, Marissa. Thank you.
You finally woke up.
All right, you guys, have a great week. Thanks again.
Thank you, Amanda.
You're welcome. There he is.
Oh,
You shaved and everything. You got a haircut.
Jeans, you got a tie-dye shirt on. He's on mute. You're on mute.
Unmute yourself, James, can you?
I don't think he realizes he's on mute.
I thought I had unmuted myself.
Man. We want to hear what you have to say. You got a shave, a haircut, and a tie-dye shirt.
Tie-dye shirt.
You know, quarantine has just changed me.
It has. I'm digging the hippie.
You won't even know me when I get back.
Yeah, so now they don't just have to call me granola.
2 granolas now.
Right.
I think it's a bit misleading, but yeah, this is a project with my daughter.
Oh, was it a quarantine project?
No, we actually did it before, but now it's in my like t-shirt workout rotation, so I just throw it on.
Can I see a little more t-shirt? Wow. It's more, you got the spiral, you get the whole thing. Yeah.
Here you go, Amanda.
This is Gus. Yeah, so I looked up at Gus. I had the whole face. I was like, wow.